Wrestling fans rejoice. We're only a few days away from the first AEW pay-per-view of the year, Revolution. And as we all know, AEW pay-per-views usually provide us some of the best matches of the year. AEW recently had a bad episode of Dynamite and everyone was acting as if the sky was falling. But don't let the Reddit think pieces or the clickbait YouTube channels fool you. AEW has been really good for the most part since Full Gear this past November. The card for Revolution has quickly taken shape over the past few weeks, and it's not too far off from what a lot of us had predicted immediately following the last pay-per-view. As of this recording, there are 7 announced matches for Revolution, and I'll be giving my predictions on each one of these matches as well as my thoughts on the build and possibly the future. I expect some matches to be announced on Wednesday, so forgive me for not waiting until then to record this. I'm lazy. First up on my predictions is the 4-way tag match for the AEW tag team titles. It'll be the Guns defending their titles against former champs The Acclaimed, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett, and a team yet to be announced as of this recording. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that the 4th team is Best Friends because that's the story they've been telling for the past couple of weeks. The Guns won the titles in my hometown of El Paso, and everyone hated it. The Acclaimed became one of the most over acts in wrestling in 2022. Their rise was special. Not only are they entertaining and unique as characters, but they can also go in the ring. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll be winning the titles back this soon, but they're so popular at the moment that they almost don't need them. Then there's Jarrett and Lethal. Not gonna lie, I wasn't a fan of Jarrett's debut, but he's really proven me wrong with his performances. He's almost playing the role of a heel Sting in AEW, and that's a good way to use him. However, I don't think Team Slapnuts will be winning the tag team titles anytime soon. As for the 4th team, I could have waited until Wednesday to see who it would be, but instead, here I am making a video without knowing the final card. Again, I predict it'll be Best Friends, and despite being super popular, they'll once again fall short. Guns unfortunately retain. Up next, we have Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks with the JAS being banned from ringside. I hate to agree with the rest of the internet is saying, but I found the build for this strange considering Starks beat Jericho clean as a whistle on the first Dynamite of the year. Not quite sure why they have Starks chasing a rematch in this case, but hey, it gets him time on TV in a prime spot, so I can't complain. 2023 is the year of Ricky Starks. For the longest time, he felt like one of the most underutilized wrestlers in the entire world, but now he's being groomed to be a centerpiece of the promotion. However, I do think Jericho will take the win here to tie the series at 1 apiece, setting up a grudge match that can be had on TV. I wish I was wrong and that Starks could sweep the series here, but this is classic Tony Khan booking if I've ever seen it. I do expect Starks to win the whole feud to further his momentum, which will hopefully lead to him finally winning some gold in AEW this year. The 3rd match here is Wardlow versus Samoa Joe for the TNT title. This is a tough one to predict. Wardlow had an emotional sit-down interview with JR where he talked about his dad and his road to becoming a professional wrestler. That single promo showed us a side of Wardlow we had never seen. It actually made me want to see him win. It made him relatable. Then again, Samoa Joe as the king of television is just too good to deny. This is a rare, fully unpredictable match in AEW, and I can really see it going either way. I think the result of the face of the Revolution ladder match on Dynamite will be very telling of who will win this match. If Hobbs wins the ladder match, I expect Wardlow to beat Joe to become a 2-time TNT champion. If Eddie Kingston or Takeshita win, then I expect Joe to retain. I'm leaning towards Wardlow defeating Joe to become champion, which will then lead to a showdown with Powerhouse Hobbs after he wins the ladder match. After that, I have the 3-way for the AEW Women's title, champion Jamie Hayter defending against Ruby Soho and Saraya. Hayter has been a great champion. She's a legit hard-hitting threat who destroys anyone in her path. Ruby Soho has been quietly gaining momentum, which really gained attention after the street fight. It makes sense for her to be here. Saraya, on the other hand, I have not enjoyed a single thing she's done since debuting. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she's even dragging down Toni Storm, who was just recently world champion with a great reign. I get it, she was retired for years, but she's looked sluggish more each time she wrestles in AEW. I really hope she shuts me up after the pay-per-view with a standout performance, but I wouldn't bet on it happening. On the other hand, Hayter and Soho should have some sick interactions in this match that'll hopefully carry it to a decent level. Hayter retains, and I expect we get some post-match shenanigans with Ruby having to choose a side in this current women's civil war. Next, Texas Deathmatch, Moxley versus the Hangman, Ace versus Protagonist, the heart of AEW versus the soul of AEW. This is the 4th match in a very newsworthy series. Hangman was knocked unconscious in the first match and it had to be stopped. Hangman pinned Moxley clean, only the second person in AEW history to do so the second time. The third time, Moxley outsmarted Hangman to get the win. This is the tiebreaker. Both men are two of the most beloved characters in all of AEW, which is why they have split the crowd almost evenly here. One can argue that Hangman has the upper hand, as he's won 2 Texas death matches as recently as last year, but Moxley excels in this type of environment. The man is one sick For all the people saying AEW has no storylines, what do you call this? This is a story that's been brewing since last October, and it seems it'll reach its conclusion here at Revolution. This is a match where I feel one man needs the win more than the other, and I think AEW realizes that too, which is why I'm predicting a win for Hangman Adam Page, and perhaps that'll finally give him the confidence to mend fences with his old friends. Speaking of one side needing the win far more than the other, we have maybe my most anticipated match of the night. The Elite versus the House of Black for the Trios titles. The Trios titles were made just for the Elite, and I suspected they were supposed to have a long reign that started all the way back at All Out. That reign ended up actually being delayed due to Brawl Out, but I think they're sticking to the original plan here. The House of Black, on the other hand, have been mostly having feuds on Rampage, lurking in the shadows. I knew it was only a matter of time before they targeted the Elite. This has potential to be an all-timer match to elevate these titles, but part of me is ready to move on from the Elite as champions. I want Kenny Omega to have singles feuds again while there's still a chance. I want the Young Bucks to reconcile with Hangman. The House of Black needs this win, and I hope AEW recognizes this too. I predict a win for the House of Black after some spooky shenanigans, and hopefully, this will be the beginning of a Malachi Black Kenny Omega program. And then there was one, MJF versus Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World title in the main event of Revolution. This match being guaranteed to go an hour is why I don't expect too many other matches to be announced for this show. Bryan Danielson is finally getting a pay-per-view main event for AEW, and it feels right. MJF, on the other hand, is still a piece of shit. A lot of people weren't feeling too fond of the build to this at first, but I loved seeing Bryan tear it up with guys like Takeshita and Bandido. The formula for MJF feuds do feel redundant, but this past week it became more personal and the feud got the spark it needed to truly feel like a pay-per-view main event. A lot of people seem to forget how good MJF is in the ring, despite him already having many fantastic matches. This match will prove that MJF is in fact the right choice to be champion when he takes Danielson to the limit. Bryan is one of the greatest of all time. I expect this match to be fantastic at minimum. However, I don't think many of us expect Bryan to actually win. MJF is early in his reign, and that means he'll pull some dirty trick to get the win, and that'll close the show. It seems a very safe pay-per-view on paper, but it has potential to be an excellent show just like this past November's Full Gear. Let me know your predictions and where you think this pay-per-view will take us moving forward.